everyone. What's going on? I'm sitting here today with Vibe with Age. She runs her own blog, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. She's got it all going. And she's doing festival blogs and all the same stuff that I'm doing, but with her own special touch to it. So what's up? Say hello.
Hi. Hello.
Let's talk about let's just dive into it. I want to know a little bit about your page, your blog. How did you get started? How about that?
Yeah, so I started back in September 2017. I had this idea for a while. I've been going to music festivals and raves since 2015, I want to say, listening to the music since before that. And finally took the plunge. And I'm the type A planner type person. I'm the rave mom of the group. I learned I
Sounds
was
like
the
me.
rave mom of my fam. So I had just gathered all these tips and experiences and stuff, and I really wanted to help people that were going to their first EDC, going to their first Coachella. So I created a music festival blog. When I created it, there wasn't a whole lot out there. I feel like there were writers writing for like the EDM blogs, but there
Hmm.
wasn't someone that was a music festival blogger. So I feel like I kind of had to like introduce that to the scene and like what that meant. Crazy looking back on now because now there's like a lot of other content creators popping up and stuff. And so I started out as a blogger and then turned into YouTube, turned into a podcast, turned into my Instagram. Now we're on TikTok and we're just expanding in all sorts of ways. So it's been really great.
Gotta do that content creation. That's what it comes down to. TikTok's huge. I'm on it, but I don't know what I'm doing on it. So I'll be honest with you. Have you had any success on TikTok or anything like that?
I started in March and I've grown to like 5,500 around there.
There you
So March
go.
to now.
Okay.
Um, Pretty good growth, honestly. Like
Kind
I
of.
wasn't really expecting it. Since I'm a marketing person, I just like test things out always. I'm always just like seeing things from a testing perspective. So I was just like, let's just try out TikTok, see what happens, throw some content on there and just see what happens. And so I've been able to grow it. I think the biggest TikTok I've gotten views on was just like the most random one. It's like the ones that take the least amount of work. I got like 100K views on. It was like one of those
Damn.
transformation ones
All right.
where I like transformed from like a normal girl to like a rave girl one. Um, yeah, so it's very interesting. TikTok's very interesting.
It is. It is. It's and yeah, I that's good. At least you're doing videos where you're putting yourself out there. I haven't done much of that. I'm trying to like figure out what I would even do as being the person. Like I have no problem being in front of the camera or the mic right now, but then it comes to TikTok, I'm like, I have no idea what I'll do. Like I have no, like what is my page? So right now, like you went to my page, it's like festival videos. It's just stuff. It's the same, almost exactly the same as my Instagram. A lot of my Instagram stuff is like festival videos and just content that I took while I was there, because that's what I like going to do. I like doing that just while I'm there. So, but the good for you because it takes a lot to get in front of the camera and do it. And it's funny, like I said, I can do all of this stuff but then it
Yeah.
comes out of TikTok, I'm like, oh, this is nervous. It's cringy. It's like I could pass that like wall of like being a TikToker and a Vine famous person. Vine was the good old days. Did you like Vine?
Oh, I love
I
Vine.
loved Vine. I think Vine was
I
the
was
best. Favorite.
I was so against TikTok at first because I was like, it's just not the same as Vine. But now I've like seen the light. I love TikTok. Like it's really, I think it's a really great platform, not just for like what people think it is as the TikTok dances and stuff. Like the way people have been able to share their expertise on so many different things is like so crazy. Like especially marketing stuff. Like there's so much stuff on marketing. I'm vegan, so like I've been finding a ton of vegan recipes and stuff that I didn't even before and stuff like that. So
So many
for
just
guys, you should totally try and do like the ones that I like guys doing like EDM and festival are all kind of like commentary stuff. Like they'll do like what your favorite EDM DJ says about you, and it'll be like some funny thing. I'll have to send you some of the ones that I think are funny.
absolutely. No, yeah, we'll get each other all on that absolutely after this. Um that's okay. I'll keep that in mind. EDM commentary. I could do that. I feel like I could do that and I can make that part of the show as well. I could do like a clip or something. We'll see. But there's so much once you get into like social media and then you like really dive into it, you're like, oh my god, like, you almost like at first like you have so many ideas, it's like hard to hone in on one. That's what I felt like. I felt like when I first got into it, I was like telling people like you could do this and this and this, and they're like, "What are you talking about, bro?" Like you just get like excited for it, especially when you love it. Um, so you started out way off topic, but that was awesome. But you started out with the blog. You started out just writing, basically.
Yeah. So I started out just writing, which is kind of also funny. My mom and I talk about it a lot because in school, like English writing papers was my least favorite subject and doing all that. My favorite subject was math. And so it's funny now all I'm doing is writing. So I started out with a website. I just did like a Wix website. I knew how to build a Wix site at the time. And then in tandem, I was doing a digital marketing apprenticeship program here in Austin where it was like my post grad education without getting a post grad degree. And I learned how to do a WordPress site. So I eventually converted it to a WordPress site. Around October, I think, was when I did my first YouTube video. And that was just like, you know, the clips you string together to music, like an after movie kind of thing. That's what
Hmm.
I did for my first YouTube video. It was from Austin City Limits. And then I like took a break from YouTube and I was like, nah, I don't know if this is for me really. And then it was like March of 2018. I was like, okay, I want to do YouTube. Let's get into YouTube and all that.
Yeah, it's like you say, it's hard at first. Like I'm learning video editing and stuff right now, and unfortunately, there's not much more content to get. So I've got to figure out how to do that as well. But I've always that's something I like want to do is do after movies for these festivals that I go to because I go and get all these videos. So I'm like, dang, I wish I could like show this off more. But YouTube, you can do it. I know there's copyright issues with some of it. I know there's rules with using certain amount of time on with songs and stuff like that. So that's something I'm like looking into and learning before I don't want to put something up and then get like a strike or something like that. So it's so lots of rules, but nothing that can prevent you from doing it. You know, just gotta
Yeah,
dig and figure out
exactly.
how to do it. So how was it? Yeah, you just said like you weren't good at writing. You were like, I hated writing. I like math more. So how was that for you? How was that transition of being like, okay, I'm a writer now, and how did that change over time? Like from when you first started to maybe 2 months in to then like what it is now, obviously.
Yeah, so it was probably like throughout college, I started to get a lot better at writing and started to kind of develop that a little bit more. So I felt a lot more confident starting that. And um, I just started writing just what I knew, which was music festivals and all the tips and things I thought
Hmm.
of. And I tried to think of from the perspective of when I was going for the first time, what were all those questions I had? And then trying to develop tips from it and kind of give a flow and organization to it. So at first, like you said, you just have so many ideas. So when I first started, I had so many ideas that I just started writing and working on it, and then created a content calendar where I would track when I would post things. I aimed, I think, for one post a week, I want to say, just about. And in my first year, I did over 100 blog posts. I want to say right now, we're not even at 3 and I'm already over 300 blog posts. So I'm
Nice.
just done over 300 blog posts, and it's really been just writing about my experiences and stuff. So I'll do reviews post festivals, and then I'll do reviews of products sometimes, and then I'll do I try to do also some other like how to prepares, but then also like 9 things to look forward to at this festival or 10 artists to check out. So now it's been a little bit harder for me to do the blog because I've been doing so much YouTube content, and I'll put the YouTube video and the podcast episodes on the blog still. But I'm trying to get back to having just standalone blog content because the biggest driver to my website is Google search. People Googling like electric forest tickets or EDC is canceled, stuff like that. So I'm trying to figure out those standalone blog posts again
Hmm.
to drive traffic to my site. So it goes up and down. There's times where I'm super creative and I can knock out more blog posts. And then there's other times where YouTube takes the center or talk takes the center. So it just
Yeah.
kind of like is a balancing game.
I couldn't agree more. It's very hard. it's in my opinion to balance all of that, especially as a single person, and you're trying to do all of it. You're trying to stay up to date on social media. You're trying to do the podcast, the YouTube. You're trying to clip your videos. You're trying to edit your videos together, and then you're going to try to write on top of it, and maintain the website and coordinate guests or whatever it may be. It does get hectic, but you build a very, like you said, you have a calendar, you get very structured. You have to. If things are all over the place, things start falling through the cracks, some area one way or another. But it's very fulfilling at the end of the day. It comes down to it. That's something I'm trying to get into, is the writing part of it myself. I find, like you say, at first I was like, I don't know what the heck I'm going to write about. I got lucky to where a blog actually reached out to me. They heard my podcast and they were like, we want you to write for us once a week. So that's been a very easy transition to slowly get into the writing part of it. And I'm not really, I'm writing my own blog post. It's for them. I get my author credit at the bottom, but hey, it's better than doing nothing at all. At least I'm building up, that resume, taking some steps into it. But yeah, writing, I'm with you there. Writing's just kind of difficult. Something about it. Not everyone's got it, and I'm not one to have it either.
Yeah, and if you have a website, you can totally put that content onto your website.
Yes.
So it as a portfolio and stuff.
Yeah, I finally took your advice and started to do that. So I mean, people don't know that, but we can recap that real quick before we go into that. I saw that the reason how I found you was that you showed up on my Twitter feed. Obviously, I followed you, or someone retweeted you, and you were talking about, like, I started my own festival blog and I've gone to X amount of festivals to cover the blog, and I was like, okay, like that's what I want to do. Like I've been like, I was already taking steps in a sense. I already made I had made this social media, the Babs Life. I had made the podcast. I had taken those steps, but then it was like, okay, now how do I angle it into what I really want to do? And I saw that post and I was like, I gotta DM this person. Like there's I just gotta know. Like if I don't, even if they don't say anything, I've got to at least take the chance and ask. And you were super kind about it. You answered all the questions I had that day, and you were like, if you ever have any more, just let me know. And I was like, thank you so much. And that was one of the main things you said. You were like, get a website, build it up, make a portfolio, because some of these festivals will see that and go, yeah, we want you to, we like your site. We like the traffic you're bringing. We want you to come and cover it. So unfortunately, COVID has taken that away from us, but I've now had the time to make a site and all that. So I just got it up and going last week,
Awesome.
but I've got it and I'm editing it piece by piece. So thank you. I'm taking the advice. I'm running with it now.
Good.
Yeah, it took a little while there, but we got everything else going in the meantime. We had the YouTube, all that good stuff going.
And I think it's so great for when festivals do come back, you'll be able to have like a whole show for it,
A whole what? It broke up a little bit there. I'm so sorry.
A whole platform.
Yes, exactly. That's something I've been saying on the podcast a couple times. I'm sure people are annoyed, but like COVID, it sucked. There's no way around it. It sucked. But on the back end of it, it really allowed me to like take a step back from going to the festivals and blah, 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 and getting distracted, and like just I can hone in on my work and I can do this and maybe make a different, life for myself at the end of all this. Not sure what your opinion on COVID is. I know it sucks. I know that much. I think everyone's in that boat. Yeah. I'm sure it was rough on content. It was, I don't have any new videos or anything. Have you been covering live streams and such?
I'm kind of been done with the live streams. I've been going back and forth. Like I was all about it maybe the first months, and I was posting them on like Instagram, Twitter, stuff like that. But I've taken up DJing, learning how to DJ as my quarantine little like creative project. That's awesome. My boyfriend and I were learning it together, and that's been our little thing on Saturday nights. We'll just like mess around with the deck and like play around with it and stuff. So that's what we've been doing instead of watching the live streams, but it's been really fun.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's something like now the way I look at that is because I've had that thought in my head is like, if I get big enough with this one day. Like maybe I could transition into like a DJ part time, and then I've got everything. That's so crazy. Like literally, one of my latest YouTube search was like learning how to mix on and stuff like that. So, and plus, just because part of learning that is a huge part of the industry alone. You learning that can open up the door to so many more articles and interviews and any of that. Like I've noticed that because I've been doing some artist interviews as well, and sometimes they'll mention something and I'm like, I don't know what that is, and I have to be like, that's amazing, that's so cool, and then I wish I would have the insight to go like, let's elaborate on that more for those who don't know, type of
Yeah.
thing. So props to you on that. That's awesome, and that's a big thing. Like we are saying with COVID, it sucked, but you can really take advantage of the situation if you want to. And that's one way to do it. I know other people have done that too. They're like, I'm gonna sit in and just mix for 2 months straight, and then I'm gonna come out and be better. And
Yep.
but that's good. That's awesome. So you are a marketing major as well, and you have a passion for digital marketing, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So I graduated with a marketing degree from Arizona State. And then I'm currently working at a digital marketing agency. It'll be my 3-year anniversary next week.
Nice, and congratulations on that. Um, how do you feel that has helped you with your personal blog and your side work? I'm going to call it side work, or your side hustle, if that counts.
Yeah, yeah, it's helped a lot, honestly. Just with content marketing and SEO, all of that kind of stuff, and social media. I feel like all of that has really helped me in fine tuning doing it for myself. And especially, I think one day I want to build Vibe with Eight a lot bigger into consulting or something like that. And I think all of the knowledge I've gained in my job will definitely help with what I want to take Vibe with Eight and where I want to take like my personal career and stuff. But yeah, it's all been super great. And my boss like knows about Vibe with Eight and she's totally fine with it. So she thinks it's super cool and it helps them as well because if when we're in meetings with potential clients or prospects, she'll tell them like I'm knowledgeable in YouTube because I am. I've been able to grow my channel however big at this point, and I've been able to grow my Instagram and everything. So she uses that to her advantage to get us potential clients and stuff because I can really speak to that. So yeah, it's been both. It's been beneficial for both of us.
Both parties, yeah. Do you ever
Yeah.
notice a very distinct difference in clients on how like some approach like, oh, they want this type of marketing and others are I'm curious like on the especially on the social media side of it, just because I think social media is so great in the fact that is free marketing. I know it's very congested. There's a lot of people on it, blah blah blah. There's you can give every excuse in the book, but I look at it as the opportunity for anybody to gain access to whatever it is they're wanting. But I'm just curious. You ever notice that with maybe older clients or even younger clients that don't necessarily get social media? Maybe that's what I'm trying to get at here.
Yeah, yeah, we've had a lot of clients that don't know if it's the right fit for them, and maybe it's not. Maybe they are more suited for just having website and going hard on content marketing. But it really just depends. But we do get a lot of pushback sometimes of being like, we don't really think social media works for us, and so that's one of the things is that you'll just have to kind of find that out in what we call discovery and just figure out is your audience where you need to be? Like, are they on Facebook? Are they on LinkedIn? Do you need to be there? And figure out where are those places to meet them.
I like that terminology, discovery. Let's elaborate on that a little bit more here. So, when you say discovery, for maybe those who don't know, you're talking about like literally discovery. I guess that's pretty self-explanatory now that I'm talking about it. But like you're elaborating on where their core audience is.
Yeah. So in our discovery phase, what we call it, we'll have a meeting with them and we'll just talk about their business, ask about their business, get to know the ins and outs. A lot of the time, we can ask if we can interview internal stakeholders as well as any previous clients or customers to get that information. And then we'll do auditing. So we'll audit their website, social media profiles, stuff like that, and then develop buyer personas. And then in that phase, we kind of figure out where is their target audience trying to go after and where are they. so that we can figure out, okay, do we need a social media strategy, or do we need to do like a paid ad strategy,
Right.
or just do content marketing, stuff like that.
Now, I'm not too familiar. When you say content marketing, is that like basically through the website? I'm actually not too familiar with that term.
Yeah,
Like
so that
blogs.
would be like content marketing would be like blogs,
Oh, okay.
or when you have a white paper or an ebook or something like that, using and developing content and then generating leads from it, or potential
Gotcha.
customers or clients and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
I do
you
get
have
that
it.
now.
Yeah.
And using that, see, now I think to me, I'm like, all that can go hand in hand. I like when I look at it, I always think people can use all of that at once. Yes, there's definitely always something that maybe sticks out more originally. Like you're saying, it kind of gets you that target audience more. Um, the other thing I'm curious on your thoughts on this is I feel like a lot of people, including a lot of businesses, necessarily don't have the patience with social media. They don't really want to give it the time to grow. They want to see, they want their money. They want to. They're giving you their money. They want to see the results like happen.
Hmm.
Would you agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And that's why typically what they hire an agency for, to figure that out. And most of the time we can say you can do this long-term strategy organically on social media, or you can hire someone to do that for you while we do the other stuff that can get you those quicker results that you're wanting. But when they're wanting quicker results, most of the time it's not going to go well. And we kind of tell them that, because if you don't give it the time, especially for ads, if you're doing third party ads like on Google, any social ads, stuff like that, if you don't give it that window to measure and optimize, we usually say like 3 months is a good window to make sure that like we can perfectly measure it and make sure that it's going to be successful and continue to optimize it. Um, if they're not willing to do that and they're just wanting like quick results, then we can also say then we won't have you as a client, because we're not going to be able to meet those standards that you're wanting. And maybe you'll find a better agency suited sometimes.
Do they ever give pushback when you guys are actually honest about that? Like saying like if you want quick results, we're not gonna be able to help you. Like,
Yeah.
and that's so funny
We've,
to me. Is go
we've
ahead.
got it, but they appreciate me.
Yeah, I would hope they do, because if they blow you off and kind of ignore you and take you to some other agency, they'll realize really quick that like, oh yeah, they were right. Like the short term isn't working. I think it's so weird that, to me, I feel like social media, as big as it is so small in a business standpoint. Like I feel like so many companies, and it's talked about a lot, but so many companies, especially big name companies and stuff, just don't use social media to like the full extent that they really could. Um, for instance, like the company I work for, they have all the social medias and all that, and I was looking at them one day, and I was like, they're only posting like once every 2 weeks. Like they're barely capitalizing on it, and it's almost like you want to just like shake somebody's head and be like, all you have to do is get a social media team going, and you could probably cut most of your marketing budget. If you plan it out and are smart with it. Um, I don't know. To me, it's crazy. I don't know what your opinion on it is, but I think it's crazy that companies aren't capitalizing it on it as much as they could be.
I think from depending on how long the company has been around, typically it's like, why change what's already working, you know? If they've already found that something's working for them, like their inside sales team already does a great, or they already generate enough leads and stuff from what they're already doing, they really don't see the value in trying to expand into something else. Even though it could bring them a lot of benefit, but I
Right.
think a lot of them just get very stuck in their ways and not wanting to innovate until they feel like it's time, like technology's changing, or the buyer's journey, all that stuff is changing. And so that's when they kind of feel like, oh, maybe do need to look at changing stuff and adapt. But it takes a while because a lot of them are just stuck in their ways.
Yeah. Yeah. You're very, very true. You brought something up that just rang a bell with me. Always thought one of the coolest things about marketing that I never thought about was like consumer behaviors. I don't know
Hmm.
if I'm sure you had a class in that. And I remember that was like, I thought that was one of the coolest classes ever. Like, because
Yeah.
it's something like I said, I never thought about marketing in a way like that. And then they're bringing in, during class, they're talking about the size of cups, the size of price tags, the way the prices are labeled, and how it affects this and this. And then you're learning different psychological things that people go through and how to market to that. It's like, it blew my mind. It opened up a whole nother world of business that I was like, this is cool. Like, we're diving into the mind right now for business.
Yeah, I totally with like the even if it's just like the coloring of like, an ad
Mm-hmm,
or
mm-hmm.
like the layout of a Target is specifically designed for you to spend money and like stuff like that. I've always been super fascinated about. And I didn't think about that when I was signing up for like a marketing degree. I had no idea like the psychological aspect of it, but it makes so much sense.
And it's funny because then you start to notice it. Like, you'll notice people going for certain things, and you're just kind of like, at least I did. I remember being like giggling, like, that's kind of funny. Like, that people are buying
For it.
that. Or like, yeah, yeah, it worked. Right? You're literally like, oh my gosh, it is working. And then you can think of things where you're guilty of it. Like, I get a large drink everywhere I go. It doesn't matter. Just want a
Yeah.
large. I just want the large. There's no, and what was it? Yeah, you mentioned like the store layout and all that is just, it's so, you don't think about it, and then you're like, the way the feng shui works and stuff like that. Obviously not called feng shui, but that's something else that's similar. Um,
Even down to like the music in the store. I forgot which store it is. It's like whatever music is playing is more inclined to have you purchase.
yeah, and it's crazy. There's data on that, and even um, like the movies making the smell of popcorn like more, so that way you want to buy it. It's just, it's crazy to me. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Um, Now, I'm curious when that will. I mean, it's partly already carried over to websites. You want to make your website look clean and all that, but I'm curious to see how that will evolve more on the websites and the internet, because I feel like it's still like, it's there, but it's not there.
Yeah. I feel like with that, companies are trying to get a lot more personalized when it comes to websites and stuff. So I can imagine more differentiated layouts depending on the consumer you are, especially if it's somewhere you frequently shop. They'll be able to kind of know, like, oh, this person was on this site before, they looked at women's clothing. And the moment you go to the home page, it's going to serve you women's clothing and stuff like that.
It'll,
So
yeah. I think that
that's
we're starting to already see that. I agree. Yeah, definitely starting to already see that. We could talk about marketing all night long, but
because
we really could. But let's move on and talk a little bit more about, what we're both doing with festivals and enjoying that. So I want to know, what would be what. Let's talk about your first festival. Let's talk about your first festival ever. What's the one that got you into this world? Because obviously, as we and you both know, without that first festival, we wouldn't be where we are today. So go ahead. I want
yeah.
to hear this. Let's go. Let's dive into it.
My first one was Mad Decent Block Party, if you heard of it.
I have
It
not.
was like Diplo has a record label called Mad Decent, so he had a touring festival. It's like the gateway festival at Arizona State. Like everyone goes to that one, and then like there's like the people that will continue to go to them, and then there's only the people that go to that one every year. So that was my first one in 2015. I went with some sorority sisters and a fraternity that I hung out with a lot. That one was actually a mess. I had to take care of someone the whole time. I had to take
Oh.
care of my little. She got like way too stoned. So I took care of her the whole time. And it was back in 2015. So Ubers and Lyfts were just barely starting in Arizona. And so I couldn't get a ride that way. There was no service. And then I finally was able to get someone to pick us up, but I missed like the entire festival. So
Oh,
I don't really count that
yeah,
one
we can't
really as
count
like
that
the first
one.
one because I was just like taking care of someone the whole time. So then after that, I was like, okay, I need to redeem myself. Like I want to give this another shot. Like the 2 hours that I had fun were really fun. So like what else could I do? And so we ended up going to Decadence, Arizona 2015. And that I would say was like the best experience. It was like my first time kind of really being involved with it, traded candy, did all the things, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was like Adventure Club, Chami, Odessa. Rez was there, but I didn't see Rez. She was like on the second stage, and I had no idea who Rez was at this point. So it's always funny looking back at those lineups and being like, oh, like I didn't know these people were there.
Yeah, yeah.
They had main stage the whole time.
I remember
um,
I have a festival recent, like in 2017. I got in very late. I got into festivals summer 2017, and we went to EDC Orlando for fall 2017. And like looking back at that lineup, I was like, oh my gosh, did we miss so many of my favorite people that were there? Like Seven
yeah,
Lions was there, we didn't go see him. Excision was
I know.
there, we saw like 2 minutes and left. Like it was like where were we going during this time? It was crazy.
Yeah,
But
so that was my first one where I like really fell in love with it. Everyone was just so nice, so friendly. Um, and that one was 2 days, and it was on New Year's Eve. So
right.
that always just like solidified
Hmm.
like going to a New Year's event for me because it's just like so much fun and there's just so much like love and everyone's so happy. It's the new year and stuff. So that was what I would consider my like my first one.
That sounds more like a first festival story,
Yeah,
anyways. Seeing very good artists, every good vibes, everything. The stuff that literally attracts people to the scene, all that stuff. Now, okay, we talked about your first. What would you go with is as your favorite, and then maybe your best festival you've been to? And in my opinion, there's a little bit of a difference there because I've had a few that uh, I've like a favorite one that I can think of off the top of my head, but I've had a few that I just had a good weekend at and had a good time at, and they're like what now they have a special place in that heart. But some are like boom, they're my favorite. So
yeah.
throw it at me.
So my favorite is Electric Forest, hands down.
I'm going
Um,
next year if that
you
happens.
are, so
Yeah,
I'll be.
I I went out one night like 3 weeks ago, and I was drinking at the bar, and I'm in a group chat with a bunch of festival guys across the country, and one of them put in that he was selling an extra ticket and he just wanted the regular price for it, and I did not even. I was already. I was drunk. I didn't hesitate. I was like, "How much?" And he was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah. Just send me your Venmo. I'll get you right now." And I bought it. And the next morning I woke up and I saw like E4's payment, and I was like, I'm going now. Let's go. Like, I guess I got it. One of the first times I've ever done that happen. It's like one of my first times I've ever done that. But whatever, it happens, and I got something to look forward to. So
Yeah, that's good. But I mean, tickets are so hard to get, and they're gonna be really hard to get. So you honestly lucked out. But yeah, that's my favorite. I went for the first time in 2018, and it's just so special. It's like there's just so much to discover between the music and then also just like the forest itself just has so many hidden treasures and just like everyone's so nice, like literally the nicest people I've ever met, and everyone's super chill with each other. So yeah, that has to be my favorite. And then the best one is actually not electric. Like I love Electric Forest, but like the best one I've ever been to is probably Holy Ship,
oh,
which
really?
is yeah, I went in 2019 on a whim, honestly. A girl from college who I worked with at a gym, she knew about my vibe with AIDS stuff, and she was like, "Hey, I haven't opened my cabin for Holy Ship." For those that don't know, this is a music festival on a cruise ship.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Sorry,
I've
we should
never
have said
been on a
that.
cruise ship and it's really hard to get on the boat. And so she had an open spot and she's like, I don't want to give up my room. So if you want to like join me, you just have to pay me back your portion of the room and stuff. And she like let me split up payment. So it was like manageable. And I was like, all right, let's send it. So I did that. That was beginning of 2019 in January. My first time on a cruise ship, and I got like 6 hours of sleep the whole entire weekend.
Oh my gosh, cruises are
Um,
awesome. I do think cruises are fun. I know some people talk down on them, but they're so much fun.
so
It's
much
just
fun.
one big party the whole time. If you want to
Yeah,
make it that.
like music went from like the first night went from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. and then there's like a break. Music starts again the next day at like noon and then goes until like 8 a.m. the next day. And then the last day, it's same thing, like starts again at noon and then goes till 6 a.m. the next day. And then you like go back to your room, take a power nap, and then you get off the boat.
Oh my
So like
gosh,
I was
I
just
love it. It's like a EDC Vegas on a boat.
yeah, I was just like, I'm like take little power naps and then just like go back out there because you are stuck on the boat with the artists, so you get to meet and run into artists. So I met so many people that weekend, and it was just so fun. And Ship Fam is what they call it. That's like the community.
Mhm.
Everyone's super nice. They're all veteran like ravers and festival goers and stuff too. So it's just like a really good time.
I'm gonna put that on my bucket list. Oh sure. So how many festivals have you been to? Now's the question, because now I'm curious. I was not expecting you to say Holy Ship as your best. So now I've got to like you threw that out of nowhere. I know what it is, but I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting a different
Yeah.
festival. So let's go. I want to hear the list.
Hold on, let me see.
Oh my
I
god, you have
think
to
I have
pull
a
it up. That's awesome.
I've been to 36 music festivals.
Wow. I mean,
And then
that's
I've been to almost 100, like, if I were to group concerts, festivals, and shows together, I've almost been to 100.
okay. That's pretty cool that you keep tabs of that, because I have not kept tabs of the shows I've gone to. I have kept tabs on the festivals I've gone to. You've
Yeah,
got me
I've kept
beat.
tabs of like
You've got me beat.
I've kept tabs of concerts since my first one. I don't know. I'm just like a list person. So
I want to do that now. Let me put it that.
yeah,
I'm not knocking you down for it. Like now I'm like I gotta sit down tonight and go back over every show I've been to and figure it out.
yeah, because I just like to know. I don't know. Once I started doing that, and I was like, well, I'm going to all these shows. Like I might as well keep track of that. And I keep track of like artists I have seen, artists I haven't seen, because I'm just curious. I don't know.
I'm all for it. I like I said, when you said you had a list, I was like, dang, she got to list all the shows too. I was like, I want to do that now. But I want to know, can you name all 36?
Oh, you want me to?
I actually do. I want to hear which ones, because I'm curious, because I might have questions about some of them.
Okay, let's go. So, Matt Decent Block Party 2015, Decadence 2015, Crush Arizona 2016, Phoenix Lights 2016, Matt Decent Block Party 2016, Global Dance Fest Arizona 2016, Decadence 2016, Crush Arizona 2017, Beyond Wonderland 2017, Phoenix Lights 2017, Coachella 2017, EDC 2017, Austin City Limits
EDC Vegas.
2017, Something Wicked 2017, Gold Rush 2017, Decadence Arizona 2017, Beyond Wonderland 2018, EDC 2018, Electric Forest 2018, Seismic Dance Event 2018, Austin City Limits 2018, Freaky Deaky 2018, Origins Arizona 2018, Decadence Arizona 2018, Holy Ship, Ubby Dubby, Second Sky, Electric Forest, Lollapalooza, and Oh, this was all 2019. Dirty Bird Camp Out, Austin City Limits, Freaky Deaky, Seismic Dance Event, Lights All Night, and then Crossed, which was this year, 2020.
Got one in before it all shut down, huh?
Yeah, I know. I feel so lucky about that.
I did too. I went at last minute. I started a new job and I was supposed to work weekends, and so I was like, damn, I can't go to Forbidden Kingdom. And
Mhm.
then they told me like, oh yeah, your first 2 weeks you're gonna be working regular hours like through the week. You're not even gonna have to do weekends. And I was like, excuse me. And I immediately I bought my ticket like right away, and I was like, I'm going. I bought it off somebody for I don't know like $150 and called it a day and went for 2 days. So I got it in. And then the one thing I do feel horrible about was I went to Buku in 2019, had a blast at Buku, not gonna lie. And
Yeah.
so I got home, I was talking all this hype about Buku. My friends were like, well, we want to go. They had all bought Okeechobee tickets. And I was like, I'm gonna go to Buku again. You guys should come with me to Buku. And they're like, I'm talking to them about it, and they're like, yeah, we'll do it. They all sold their Okeechobee tickets, everything, and they were like ready to Buku flights, everything, and we're oh my gosh, and then it got canceled. I felt so bad. They were like, we haven't been to a festival in months now because of you, and I'm like, oh god, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't mean to do that.
I was supposed to go to Buku. I had a press pass for Buku. I was supposed to go, so I was really sad
Nice.
about that one.
Buku, Buku's very unique. It's a city fest, but it's you don't. I didn't feel like at all that I was in a bit like a city. It's the festivals at Mardi Gras World. It's in its own kind of area. It's near the water. It's got some warehouse vibes to it too. It's got a few of those stages that are in the warehouse, legit, and it's really cool. It's really cool. And then afterwards, you can go out in New Orleans because New Orleans keeps rocking all night. So that was cool. Now, you said two that stuck out to me because I've always been interested in going to them. Freaky Deaky and Beyond Wonderland. Um, so let's talk a little bit about Freaky Deaky. I want to know a little bit about it because to
Yeah.
me, I know it's during Halloween. Sorry to cut you off. I know it's during Halloween. I like that idea of like a Halloween festival. I was tempted to buy tickets for 2020, but I mean, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. Everyone keeps on asking me if it's gonna happen. No, I don't think so. So Freaky Deaky is here in Houston, put on by Disco Donnie,
Mm-hmm.
who does like SMF Tampa and Ubby Dubby. It used to be Something Wicked, so I mentioned Something Wicked,
Oh,
and then
okay.
it turned into Freaky Deaky.
Did
So
not know that.
2018, they rebranded into Freaky Deaky. And then they've just kind of rolled with that. Something Wonderful is what Ubby Dubby used to be. So they like just
Oh, I did. I
rebranded.
actually did not know that. So
Yeah, so that's
okay,
what they are. They're still in the same locations and stuff. I love Freaky Deaky. I wasn't gonna go this year. I really want to go to Escape because
Escape Psycho
I've gone to
Circus.
Freaky Deaky the past 3 years. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I kind of want to do something different and go to Escape. Probably won't happen. Freaky Deaky probably won't happen. We'll see about that. The way stuff in Texas is going. But I love the Texas rave fam. Like I grew up obviously going to the Arizona raves and stuff, but Something Wicked was my first Texas rave, which is now Freaky Deaky, and I just love going to them. Everyone's super nice, and he's Disco Donnie has really upped the production in the
Mm-hmm.
past year. I'd say like 2019 was really well done. I thought
Yeah,
the
that's
only thing was that they tried out a new venue, and while the new venue was great, the sound bleed was really bad. So I hope that gets fixed between
gotcha.
like main stage and some of the other stages and stuff. But otherwise, like I really liked last year. Last year's lineup was like Fisher, Rez, Mala. Trying to think of who else, but it's always a good year. It's always a good time.
Freaky Deaky drew my attention was 2019 that year. The stages looked phenomenal. Like I was like, it looked like a castle of screens. Like that he made the screens look into like a haunted house or a castle, and I was like, that is so cool. I was like, that's something I gotta go see. Something I gotta see in person. But yeah. And then the other one we mentioned was Beyond Wonderland. I always see stuff about Beyond. It's this another one of Insomniac's like quick 2 day little festivals. Tell me a little bit about that. I'm just curious.
Yeah, so that one is more of an Alice in Wonderland theme. So that's what I really like about that festival. That was my first Insomniac festival in 2017 before I went to EDC. So that was my first introduction to Insomniac. And it's a whole other world the way that they transform the Nas Event Center. It's just like it has this whole water kind of man-made lake, but then they have all the tents and warehouses and stuff that you can go into. It's like a huge playground basically, and it's Insomniac level production. So think of like you just enter basically Alice in Wonderland, kind of like all the production, the decorations, stuff like that. The
Yeah.
stages are insane. And then I went again in 2018, and that one was really fun. I think that was like my first time seeing Chris Lake and Fisher. Yeah, Beyond always has a special place in my heart. It's just hard to travel for a 2 day festival
I
from
agree.
Texas. It's kind of hard to
Yeah.
like justify it, but I was willing to for Escape because I've never been.
Mm-hmm.
But Beyond has always been like something that I would recommend checking out for sure because what they do with the production is always great. Insomniac always delivers on the lineup and stuff, so it's always a good time.
Yeah, it's funny you brought that up. Traveling to a festivals. It is something I've always found. Like, oh, I want to go, but at the same time, it's only 2 days, and I've got to take this and this off. I've always made them into trips, though. That's something I've. That's like my big tip to people is like, if you're gonna go to 2 day festivals or even at almost any festival, in my opinion, make it into like a trip. We did that for
Yeah.
Vegas. We did that for Buku. We did that for Spring Awakening. Like when I went to those, we made it into like a week long thing.
Mm-hmm.
Did the 2 days, or some of them were 3 days. Did the 3 days, and then like explored the other couple days just to get like,
Yeah,
more of
sure.
a sense of like we're here. Um, Speaking of EDC Las Vegas, 2021, as of today, went on sale. And you brought up a point. You're like, I don't know. I would never buy a ticket this early. So, what are your thoughts with EDC opening so early?
I mean,
Besides that,
yeah, I mean, they need to like solidify getting tickets and stuff, and like move on the people that want to get tickets and stuff. Because I know a lot of people refunded their tickets probably, so they're probably just trying to get those tickets rebought. Me personally, I don't even know what 2021 is going to look like at this point, given that it's August and we're still in a pandemic. So
Right.
I am kind of waiting it out. I know if I like, once I know that EDC is happening or any festival is happening, I'll be like, okay, let's get the plans going. And I'm sure I could figure out a way to go. Cause like, even from now until May, people are going to be selling their tickets. Like, stuff comes up, people can't go and stuff like that. So I'm sure I'd be able to find a way to go. But yeah, as of right now for next year, the only plans I have, it's that I had already bought, that are going to roll over. So right now that's Coachella and Electric Forest are the ones that are going to roll over. I had a Lightning in a Bottle, but I sold my ticket back to the Do Lab, who owns Lightning in a Bottle, because they're like a family run company. They basically were like, this pandemic could bankrupt us. So I was like, yeah, I'll give you my ticket back. Like, I'm not even going to get a refund or anything. So yeah, EDC, we'll see. We'll just kind of wait it out.
Yeah, I know. I had a buddy reach out to me yesterday and was like, "Hey, we're getting a camping spot. Do you want to come in?" And I was like, I had no plans to go for starters as of yesterday. I was like, well, no, I mean, like I'll think about it, like maybe. And then today I was like, man, I bought a ticket. I was like, I did. It was $10 down. I've got the money laying around right now. Been saving because of the pandemic, so I was like, $10. And I'm still working, so I don't have to worry about that. $10 down, $50 payment here and there. There's a bug. Oh my gosh. $50 down here and there, I can be fine with. And if I can't go, I can't go. If I can, I can. So I took the gamble on that one. Obviously, I took the gamble on E-Forest as well. So I have 2 lined up right now. I have Lost Lands as well. I decided not to refund that. And then I refunded Buku. Yeah, I took the money for that one. It's just it wasn't gonna happen. It was supposed to happen Labor Day weekend, which is in like a month. It's just not gonna happen. That's something I'm curious to know what your opinion is, because of somebody who goes to a lot of festivals, and I'm sure some of them you go with press passes, but at the same time, some of them might have to pay for it just to get in. What is your opinion with? I don't even know if it's an opinion, but I feel as though a lot of people in the EDM community are not the best financially speaking, or what's the word here? Oh my gosh, I'm missing out on it. Anyways, they're not the best the best with money. Yeah. I totally forget what the word for that is though when you're good with money. It's gonna bug me. I'll figure it out. Anyways, so that's what I'm trying to get at here though is what advice do you have for festival goers that maybe they're putting themselves in predicaments where they could use the money they have, or how to get them more financially savvy to where they can go to festivals and still enjoy themselves, but at the same time not be broke on the side end, or like creating extra stress in their life that they don't need if they just didn't go to a festival or something,
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely said on my channel and like on my blog a lot, like, no festival is really worth putting yourself in that financial strain, in my opinion. And I always have to weigh out, is this festival worth it for me to go? Even if I get a free festival ticket, I still have to think about the flights, the hotel, all the other extra added costs on top of that. And I really evaluate, can I this or not, or is it going to put me in a bind at work and stuff? And so I just don't think any festival is really worth that. They're always are going to be like another festival, obviously, once we're out of this pandemic.
Of course.
But then when it comes to like actually saving a lot more money, I always have given tips on evaluating what you're currently spending your money on. So at the beginning of this pandemic, I'm not going to lie, I went a little crazy because I was like, oh, I have all this extra money. Like,
that's why I bought stuff too.
Yeah. Like, I was just buying random stuff on Amazon that I don't need and stuff. And I threw Electric Forest in my apartment. I like recreated Electric Forest in my apartment.
That's so cool.
The weekend it was supposed to happen, and I kind of went overboard on it. And I was like, okay, after this, I need to like reel it in. So what I always do is I just evaluate, what am I spending money on? a lot of the times I delete my food delivery apps. That's usually the first thing to go. And I just really focus on like planning out and buying meals, buying food to make meals at home and stuff like that. So I look at that. I look at on your iPhone, if you have any apps that have any subscriptions, like if you haven't used that app in a while and you're spending like $10 to have that app, could be something to take away. Um, and other memberships and stuff like that. So I try and find ways to just keep on saving more money. That way I can enjoy the festival more or be another trip to add on
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. So I always try and recommend like limiting your spending any way you can. Like I really don't go out a whole lot in between festivals. So figuring out ways to kind of limit that spending is what I always recommend.
So I'm curious, and I have some opinions on it too. But what's the ideal plan for when you decide, okay, I think I want to go to this festival? Like, how do you go about that planning? Not only just planning it, but I do mean in a financial sense of like, okay, I got to set this and this extra money aside. And not only that, I need to have enough money to where if I go, I come back, I'm not broke and all that stuff. I'm just curious how you go about that process.
Yeah, so I don't really think I have a whole process for it. I have a Trello board to track my at least. And then I kind of just like do the math and look at what my bank
Mm-hmm.
account looks like now, look at what my savings looks like now, and then kind of judge between the next upcoming paychecks and bills I have, if I can swing it or not, if I can swing that ticket. And then I always, whenever a festival lineup gets announced, I always look at what the ticket prices are going to be. And then I always look up what a hotel or an Airbnb might look like, just to get like an average cost for that, just to start to think. And if I need to like have a group of 2 people, 4 people, like what is that going to look
Yeah.
like?
Mm-hmm.
Then I always look at flights on like I'm a Southwest girl through and through, so I always check Southwest because I have those points, and I have the credit card and stuff, and so I always check Southwest. If that doesn't look good, then I'll look elsewhere because like for Electric Forest, sometimes it's hard to fly with Southwest, so sometimes I have to do American. So I try and just get an idea of what the general cost is going to be for everything and then kind of assess from there what's going to work.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. When I always think of it, there's two ways to really look at it, and there's that way where like I've done that before, where it's like we actually plan it through and through right before the beginning, and it's like, okay, I need this set this X amount of money, and we're gonna go for it. I run into the issues with me, and I don't know if you have this issue, but a lot of my friends tend to not even have the money at the get go. Like we could run down the prices, and they're like, well, I can only buy the ticket today, and then I got to buy the flight in a month, and then the blah blah blah. They can't. No one. Maybe now they can with the pandemic. They saved up some money, but I think that's a huge thing. On the other hand, is I noticed for me, it's super a lot easier to make these plans when I've got money saved up. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, and not only that, you can make those last minute plans too. Like Forbidden Kingdom, it was like, all I had to do was call a buddy and say, hey, I can pay. I'll help pay for the hotel room. Like I know you need somebody else to help you pay. Boom, done. And I had the money set aside to where it didn't affect me if I did go and stuff like that. So I think there's that way of like if you can plan it ahead and you can swing it, you do that. And then you've got the other side of it as like I've been saving up all this money. I haven't been going out. I haven't been eating out. And you know what? I want to go splurge for a little bit and have a great kick-ass weekend. I've got the money to do it, and it's not even going to affect me. Each method is to each his own, and I think they work out perfectly either way. I always say though, when I do the other method, I got to make sure I have money afterwards. So yeah, I can save up while I can work my ass off for that, for the $800, whatever it may be. But then maybe I should work my ass off to where I have $1,600, so that way I spend 800 and I have 800 saved up for whatever as after, whatever, whether it's an issue that's why I'm there, or when I get back, I don't have necessarily, or the time I've taken off, it doesn't necessarily affect me. That's my big thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also for me, like when I say plan it out, like I also do that similar method to your friends where like, okay, I can buy the ticket now, but like especially for Electric Forest, the tickets usually I buy them in November and then I usually don't book my flight until February, March maybe because the festival's not even until June. So sometimes I'll plan it out that way. okay, I have the money now to buy this ticket, and then when that time comes, have the money for the flight, have the money for the hotel, stuff
Yeah,
like that.
you know that I shouldn't negate that. I've done that too. What I
Yeah.
mean though is where like I guess I just talk more in a sense of like they're doing that, but then they don't even.
Really know if they'll have the money for the next stuff.
Yeah, like they don't. Yeah, like when there's no planning involved with it. Yes, I should have been more specific. Yeah, like they're buying the ticket and it's like, well, I hope I can pay for the flight and all that. And it's like, I mean, I guess you could sell it and all that. That's always true, but it's I'm someone with a certain level of planning that has to come into it because that just like to me, there's no stress, no anxiety when all that happens. At least that's what I've noticed from my the difference between me and my friends about money is like I plan and I save and I don't ever have to worry about it. I just gonna go, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh my god, I don't know if I could do this." Or like we want to all coordinate onesies one day. I can't buy that onesie, and I'm like, man, it's $20. Like just like it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Um,
As
it's
we're, like, getting older, that friends are starting to, like, make moves in their career and start to have money, at least for, like, my friend group. It's been really nice because, like, before when we were, going to music festivals, like, we were all in college and
yeah.
super limited with our budgets and, like, really not doing a whole lot. But now we're, like, able to kind of, like, afford a lot more and actually enjoy these experiences.
Yeah, I knew a
So
lot of.
definitely,
I agree. I had a lot of people in college. That's mainly. I mean, I'm fresh out of college. I graduated in December, so I've got a lot more. I've dealt with a lot more of that, like you're saying, with college kids that are like, I'll just figure it out. Or I mean, I've had people that I worked in college. I had to, so I did have the money to go, and that was like my thing. I couldn't pay for a sorority or a sorority. I couldn't pay for a fraternity or anything like that to be in one because I had to work. And
yeah.
so I had extra money laying around from just working, so I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll go. And I had other friends that were like, oh, I want to go, and then they'd buy the ticket, and then they get or they'd buy the ticket, then get the job, or they just get a job, and they're like, I'll just buy the ticket, I'll put a down payment, and just pay it off, and they go and they're broke, and I mean they have a good time. And I've had other friends that pay with their loan money and student money. I don't know where you stand on that. I disagree with that one wholeheartedly because that's just gonna bite you in the ass later. But to each his own. But so much better, so much less stress when you're able to save and do it, or have a sense of a plan going forward on how to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's what at least my opinion. It's so much less stress. I remember like EDC Las Vegas, Lost Lands and EDC Las Vegas the last couple of years were just like I was like, yeah, like I know it's gonna cost this much. I've been working, we're good, like it's going. And other friends were like, I hope I can get it by the time we get there. And you're like, all right. I remember like one trip I had saved up all summer. I was working. I had saved half my tips. I was saving them for the summer, really, not for the trip. But when the trip came, it was for Spring Awakening, and I was like, all right, yeah. And I remember just grabbing. Like I said, I saved up half my tips every night. I just threw them in a jar and just never touched them. So I was like, when the trip came, I just pulled out the cash. I didn't look at my bank account. I didn't look at what was on the menu. I was like, I'm enjoying this 7-day vacation. We went out in Chicago. We went out in we went to the festival, and I was like, I love Chicago. It has a very special place in my heart. So I was showing my buddies around, and I remember like wanting to take them to this and this place, and they were like, oh, that's a little pricey for us. And I'm like, all right, guys, I'm trying to have a fun time here. Like,
Yeah.
but to each his own. We still had a great time.
Yeah, I remember in college we'd always go for like the cheapest hotel, the cheapest Airbnb, and like we'd cram like 10 people into a room and like or into an Airbnb and stuff. And
Still kind
now
of do that now to save money, but like that's a different
now
reason
we're
now.
like, okay, everyone can afford a bed. Like now we're at that level where everyone gets a bed. Like this is great.
Yeah, we'll still jam about 4 people in a hotel room and split beds, but like it's not to the same extent that it was. You're right, absolutely. We're kind of it's like we're getting more and more money, so we're like, all right, less and less people. It's great.
Yeah. My
I'm at
first
the back of the
we
festival now. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
my first no, you're good. My first EDC, we had about like 6 or 7 people in a 4-person hotel room. I want to say, yeah, it was tight.
That's tight. That's I've been in SMF uh last year, I believe it was. we we went. My buddy was like, "Yeah, you guys can all." My buddy from Buku was like, "Yeah, why don't you all just come to SMF and like we'll all just stay in the house." And he
Yeah.
also had like his friends there too. It was like
Oh my
25 of us in this house. It was ridiculous. Like everyone was just like, there were people that like there's certain people that got beds, and then there was people just on the floor, people on air mattress, people like in the closet sleeping. It was just it was people
God.
everywhere. Oh my gosh, it was a fun time though. That's stuff like you're saying when you're in college and stuff like that. This stuff's funny. It just makes for a fun time.
Yeah.
It's just like in camping festivals. I remember like we jammed like first Lost Lands. We jammed like 12 people into like that small campsite,
Oh
like
gosh.
one huge tent and then like two small ones, and it was like everybody fit. And you're like, yeah, then we all fit. Oh my gosh. Oh, good times. Anyways, it'll be back sooner or later. Um, Last thing that I wanted to talk about was, which we haven't touched on yet, was Plur, and kind of just, I don't even know if I want to talk about Plur so much as like just people in general being good. It's, you know, the community's got such a rep for having those people, and yet it seems that, least on Twitter, and I don't want to go into it like that, but it seems as though only the people that are spouting negativity and shaming others and whatever get the biggest spotlight. And that's so weird to me and so backwards. And that's not even just in our community, that's just in general. Um, it's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how. I just don't know how that works. Like you see, like there's people that you see that and you're like, you just cringe. It's like, how do they being so negative all the time, especially in our community with like I say, with the meaning of Plur and that being such a pillar of the community, but then not seeing it translated outside of the festival world. You have anything you want to,
Yeah.
you got any thoughts
No,
on that one?
totally agree on that. And it's usually the people that are the most loudest that are the ones always calling out other people
Mhm.
or spewing that negativity. You're right. And it's sad because we go to these festivals and we, love on each other and we meet other people and we're so excited. And then for some reason, then social media just turns into some type of war where people are just calling each other out on other stuff. And then a lot of the time Plur gets dragged into it and people
Yeah.
are like, well, that's not very Plur of you. And it's like, okay, well, you're not doing any better.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, people just thrive off of like the negativity and off of like canceling and like the drama and like I don't know what it is. I've always tried to understand it. And like I catch myself sometimes getting caught up in it, not necessarily with EDM stuff, but just like celebrities or like, influencers and stuff like that. But I always have to like check myself and be like, okay, does this really need to like take up space in my brain right now? Like, do I really want to be like contributing to this or stuff like that? And so it's definitely hard. And I feel like with a lot of newer ravers and newer festival goers coming into the scene, it's kind of like part of the veterans who still believe in that and still practice that to like make sure that that message is still coming across and we don't lose sight of it. Because once we do, then what's the point of going to these festivals and events if like we're not going to be kind to each other and it's just going to be like, people kind of canceling each other or like calling each other out and stuff like that. So I think it's super important to keep that stuff alive and to be reminded like we joined for the music and then being able to connect and be nice to people and like get a break from the real world where it's so harsh and negative is like the reason why we come back and we want to keep that spirit alive.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think you just brought up a very, very good point at the beginning, which was about, oh my gosh, I just drove like sorry of how when someone is doing something bad, we see a lot of the time people kind of shooting back at them, and I think that alone is a bigger message. Is that's just not two wrong? Like I always say that two lefts don't make two wrongs don't make a right. Like two lefts, two wrongs don't make a right. Oh my goodness, but it's true, and I feel like you see that more than anything, is that when someone does do something negative or bad or even hateful to that extent, a lot of people want to bite back and bark back and say, well, they deserved it. They deserve me being mean to them.
Mm-hmm.
And in reality, no, that's totally not the case. That's, at least in my world, at least, especially like, you're giving off just as much of a negative energy of that person as that person is.
Yeah.
You're not elevating yourself by being mean to somebody who is mean to somebody else. You're just lowering yourself to their level. And
Yeah.
I think that is something you mentioned that is so overlooked by a lot of people, is that, just because someone does something that's shitty and mean doesn't mean you got to be shitty and mean back to them and they deserve that because they were mean. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's so much easier to do that, but the long-term outcome of you being the bigger person and displaying a higher positive energy takes you way farther in life.
Yeah. I'm learning this year a lot that not everything deserves a reaction. Um, and it's very hard to learn that because it's like you see something on Twitter, especially, and everyone just, it's in real time. Like people just get really like passionate about something and they just
Yeah.
go straight to their tweets and start drafting something up and then they post it without even thinking. I
Yeah.
used to be guilty of that. And so I've really had to like take a step back and realize, okay, does this deserve my reaction? Do I need to like put
Yeah.
this out onto the internet? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Do I want this to represent me? So that's kind of the thought process I've been going, not just with Twitter, but also like when I get a mean comment on YouTube or when someone DMs me something that was kind of mean or like just stuff like that, I'm always
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, take a step back, breathe. Do I need to react to this right away or can I sleep on it, wait on it? And most of the time, once you do that, then you realize, okay, I don't really need to be putting this out into the universe, or I don't need to be spreading this or whatever. And
Yeah.
that kind of goes with like a lot of the stuff that's been happening with people getting canceled and whatever. I'm kind of like, all right, I don't need to make this big statement about it, but I'm not going to follow them. I'm not going to support them. I'm not going to stream their music, whatever it may be. But I don't
Yeah.
need to make this huge
Yeah.
statement about it. And if someone asks me for my opinion, I'll give it to them. But like, I don't want to make this huge deal about it and kind of harp on that person more than they're already getting harped on, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. You don't want to bring that negative energy onto you. I mean, again,
Yeah.
it's, there's people can talk about what they believe in and all that, but there's good energy and there's bad energy, and just because someone's putting out bad energy and you want to give it back to them, to make it right, quote unquote, you're doing no different. You're not even really helping yourself in my world. And people may disagree, but that you're just giving into that negative energy and you're going just as low as they are, and it seems right, but in the reality, it doesn't hold to the same standard. It's just the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah. And
Um,
it's just a vicious cycle. And you don't want to give people the power to try and like bring you down too because you spoke up about it or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. And if you do ever speak up about it, there are totally different ways to do it too. I mean, there's a way to, in a sense, bark back, I guess, bite back, that you can do it calmly and in a way that you don't have to bring that negative energy in your life. There's totally ways to handle stuff where you don't have to bring negative energy in your life. And that's always my advice to people when handling any situation. It's, I take a deep breath. Yeah, yes, you're mad. Express that you're mad to somebody else, but then calm down and say what you got to say peacefully and calmly with no bad intentions. It says a lot about the person, and when people can do that. Anyways, we've done about an hour here. I've loved the conversation. We've marketing,
Yeah.
festivals, energy, fucking, we're just hitting everything right now. So honestly, I had a great show. Make sure to plug in your social medias and stuff right now. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can find me at Vibe with Aid, VIBEWITHADE. That's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. VibeWithAid.com is my website. And on YouTube, it's Vibe with Aid. So you can find festival vlogs, tips, what to wear, bunch of stuff. I have 3 years worth of content. So hopefully you'll find something that helps you out at festivals and whatnot. and a podcast, Let's Vibe podcast. So we'll definitely have Jacob on soon, and we'll do another episode
Let's
together.
do it. We can do all sorts. We got tons of ideas now we can bounce off. We can do more content together with quarantine. If we ever want to do reviews and stuff, let's sit down and let's do it. Let's do stuff. So I really enjoyed this. It was awesome. I look forward to working more in the future if that comes. So
Yeah,
anyways,
sure. Thanks for having me.
absolutely. Bye, podcast world.
Bye.